Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the session. So, can anyone recall what we have done in the previous session? Can anyone tell me what we have covered in the previous session? Anyone? Yes, we have started with the amortized analysis. Which two methods we have seen in the amortized analysis? Yes, one is the accounting method and another one is the aggregate method, right? So two methods we have seen in the previous session. So today we are going to start with the new topic, or sorry, new method, that is potential method. Okay, so let me share my screen. See, this method is similarly to the accounting method, right? So let us just take an overview of these two methods. In aggregate method, what we have done, we are having a operation of we are having worst case time complexity of an operations, and we are trying to find out the average amortized cost per an operation, right? So this is how we have done. So amortized cost you can find out is equals to time complexity of a worst case divided by number of operation, right? And this we have done for the multi-pop also. So in push method, we are having the actual cost. The cost we have find out that is order of one. For pop, that is order of one. And in multi-pop, it will be a minimum of size of the stack or number of k. Whichever is the minimum, we will take it. In accounting method, it is dependent on the credit and debit. Right? Generally, what we are doing is we are having the amortized cost, that is nothing but the estimated cost. We are having the actual cost. Whenever the estimated or amortized cost is greater than the actual cost, we will save the money to the credit. We will save cost to the credit. So whenever we are having some other expensive operation and we need some money at that time, what we will do, we will use this credit, right? So here the formula is this: credit equals to amortized cost minus actual cost, right? This is how we are storing the credit. So here we have assumed the amortized cost for a push is 2, pop for a 0, multi-pop is a 0, right? And this is the actual cost for push, pop and multi-pop, which we have defined from the previous method, aggregate method. So now in this method, this is very similar to the, it is very similar to the accounting method, but here the difference is of the credit only. So generally what we are doing is we are going to have the amortized cost, actual cost, and when the amortized cost is greater than the actual cost, so the credit will turn into some kind of function that is called as a potential function, right? And it will be dependent on the number of or it will be dependent on the types of an algorithm, right? So if we are having a stack, in this stack we are defining the potential function as a size of the stack. We are defining the function as a size of the stack. So what we are having in this, so how we can find out the potential function, right? We have to use some formula. So the formula is this. Here the potential is nothing but one function that in which we are going to store the credit. Okay, so in this method we don't have the credit in the form of some kind of unit, but we are having some function, right? And based on this function, we are trying to identify the amortized cost, right? So we need some function, we need some formula. So how we can do this? So let's see, we are having the amortized cost is equals to CK. Actual cost, you already know, is equals to CI, right? And here we are having some credit. Okay, so credit is nothing but the potential difference. Here it is nothing but the potential difference. That we will see just a second. Now how you can find out the amortized cost? CI carat is equals to CI plus credit, right? Here in the previous method we have seen credit equals to amortized cost minus actual cost. So if you want to find out the amortized cost, then what you will do, you will take this actual cost in this side. So credit plus actual cost equals to amortized cost, right? Now how to define this? How to define this credit? This credit is nothing but the potential function. So if you want to denote the potential function, then you have to use phi di minus phi di minus 1, right? Credit is nothing but the potential functions we are having. So this is nothing but the potential difference, right? So what is the phi di? This is the potential function. This is what potential function after performing ith operation. After performing ith operation. And this is nothing but the potential function before performing ith operation, right? So here the potential function will depend on the number of the types of the algorithm, types of the data structure, right? So in this case here we are having the stack. So the potential function for stack is size of the stack. Okay, we are considering the size of the stack for as a potential function. It may be vary, okay, but for this example we are talking about for this example, size of the stack is a potential function that we are going to consider. So let us take the same example of stack push, pop, and multi-pop. Okay, so let us say this. This is the array. Okay, this is the array. Let's say I have already inserted two elements. Let's say in the t0 time. Let's say t0 time. The size of the stack is what? Here we are having two elements, right? 2 and 3 is already inserted in this stack. Now I want to push what? I want to push 5, right? So at some time, let's say t is 2 time, I want to insert 5. Let's say I want to insert 5. So how will I insert 2, 3, and 5 will be inserted here. Now size of the stack will be changing. Now size of the stack will be what? 3. So we have to find out what? Potential difference. So the potential difference is what? Equals to phi di minus phi di minus 1. So what di? Di refers that the it is the potential difference after performing the operation. Here we want to push, we want to perform the push, right? After pushing, what will be the size of the stack? It is equals to 2. पुश जब हमने पुश नहीं किया था तब उसकी साइज क्या थी? Before performing the operation of push, what will be the size of stack? That was 2. So the difference is what? 1, right? So if you write in the common format like S is equals to size of the stack, then you can represent S minus 1 minus, sorry, S plus 1 minus S, right? So s minus s, that is equals to 1. So in general format, you can write like this. Here you can write it. In this example, we are having size of the stack before performing the operation, that is 2, and after performing the insertion, we are having the size of the stack is 3. So the potential difference is equals to 1. Now let us find out the amortized cost. What is the amortized cost? So this is the difference. So we are having the actual cost plus this potential difference, right? So here I will write Ci phi di minus phi di minus 1, right? Now we are having already the actual cost, right? So here we have defined the actual cost for push, pop, and multi-pop. So here the actual cost for push is equals to 1 plus the potential difference we have find out, that is also 1. So the amortized cost for push is equals to 2. So that we have defined here, that we have assumed, right? That is the amortized cost for a push is equals to 2. So that we have proved that the estimated cost for amortized for the push operation is a 2 and actual cost is equals to 1. So this is how we can prove for the push operation, right? Second operation we are having is a pop operation. Okay, so let me take this pop operation. So at t0 time, let us consider this 2, 3. We are having the size is equals to 2, right? हमने हमारे पास एक स्टैक है, उसमें क्या है, 2 elements है, size of the stack will be 2 at t0 time. Now what I want to do is I want to perform some operation, like I want to perform pop. I want to pop the 3. So what I will do, I will pop 3, and in this stack now we are having this element 2. Okay, at t0 at t1 time. Okay, let us consider this. After some time, after performing the operation, we are having this 2 elements. So size of the stack is what? Equals to 1, right? So let us find out the potential cost or potential difference here. So the potential difference equals to phi di minus phi di minus 1. So this is the stack size that we have got after performing the operation. So here size of the stack is 1 minus. जब हमने पॉप परफॉर्म नहीं किया था उससे पहले साइज क्या थी 2, right? So here we can get potential difference in the negative format. Okay. So let us find out the total amortized cost. So the amortized cost equals to actual cost plus this potential difference. The actual cost for pop is 1, then here we are having minus 1. So the answer is what? Amortized cost for pop is 0. That we have already defined in the previous example, right? That we have assumed that pop will take 0 cost, right? So here we have proved that pop will take 0 cost, right? And let's take the another example for the multi-pop. This is the last example for this. Okay, so previously what we have defined that for the multi-pop, the cost will be dependent on the minimum of size of the stack or number of element we are popping from the stack. That will be dependent on that. Okay, so what we are going to do is, let me take one stack. We are having this element 3, 1, 4, right? At t0 time we are having this much element, right? Size of the stack will be what? Here size is equals to 3. Now I want to perform what? Multi-pop. So what will happen that I will pop two elements at a time. I want to pop two elements at a time. So after some time, after you pop the element, you will have only one element in your stack. So here the size will be 1. So multi-pop is dependent on what? Minimum of size of the stack and key value, right? So here you can see initially before popping what we are having, size of the stack is 3 and k value is what? 2. I am popping 2 element at a time, right? So which one is minimum out of 3 and 2? 2 is a minimum, right? So let us find out the potential difference. So the potential difference for multi-pop is, so what is the size after performing the multi-pop minus the size of the stack before performing the multi-pop. So here it is a 1 minus 5 di minus 1, that is equals to 3. So here the answer is what? Minus 2. So here it is nothing. Here we have find out the minimum from stack. So this is the actual cost. This is nothing but the actual cost. We have find out, let's say we are having size of this stack is 3 and we are popping 2 elements, right? So whichever is the minimum out of 3 and 2, 2 is a minimum, so that will be your actual cost. So if you want to find out your amortized cost, then CI cap is equals to CI plus potential difference. So actual cost is 2, amortized this potential difference is minus 2. So your amortized cost for multi-pop is equals to 0. That we have proved, right? So this is how the potential method works, that is dependent on the size of the stack. And we have tried to prove that the assumption that we have made in the accounting method, that is completely true. So this is a theoretical topic in which the research is going on. So it will take time to understand it, but I hope you understand very clearly. And I have given my best to give you the proper example and to make you understand very simply. Okay. So this is all about the amortized analysis, and this is completely theoretical approach. In exam also they are going to ask you the theoretical approach only. They will ask you the write down the short note about the amortized analysis, right? So I think till now everyone is clear, or is there any doubt? Everyone please respond me in the chat box. Is it clear or is there any doubt? Okay, good. So next we are going to start with the new topic, that is algorithm and time analysis of sorting. So now we are going to start with the sorting algorithm. So first we will start with bubble sort. Okay, so you already know how bubble sort algorithm works, everyone? Tell me how bubble sort works, because this is the simplest sorting algorithm that you have studied so far in your data structure subject.
It will
Yes, tell me.
that it is index 0 and index 1, then index 1 and index 2. That's all.
Good. Just a second. So here in bubble sort, what we are going to do is we are going to sort an unsorted array, or simply we are arranging data in a sorted manner. Right? Generally, when we are thinking about sorting an element, so it will be starting from lowest value to highest value. This is how we are arranging the data, right? So this is called as ascending order. Right? And if you are setting from largest value to smallest value, if you are going from largest to smallest, or we can say highest to lowest value, then it will be called as a descending order, right? So in Bubbleshot, what we are going to do is we are going to compare two adjacent element at a time. At a time, what we are going to do is we are going to compare two adjacent element from the array. And if you find that first element is greater than the second element, then we are going to change their position, right? So this thing we are going to repeat until the entire array is sorted, right? So this is how this algorithm is simply working. So let me take one example and we'll try to solve it, how we can do it. Okay, so let me take this example. So we are having the array 15, 16, 6, 8, and 5. Okay, so we will start with the, I will write it down here, 15, 16, 6, 8, and 5. I will give the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So can anyone tell me what is the number of element in this array? Number of elements in this array. How many array are there? How many array elements are there in this array?
5.
5, right? Okay. So in a pass number 1, in a pass one, what we are going to do is we are going to compare these two numbers. Compare 15 with 16. Is 15 greater than 16? Tell me. Is 15 greater than 16?
No.
No, right? So we are not going to change the position for 15 and 16, right? Then next what I will do is I will compare next two value. Okay, compare 16 with 6. Okay, just a second. Just give me a moment, just a second. Okay, so here what we are going to do is, here we have compared 15 is greater than 16. This condition is false. So now we will compare 16 with 6. Is 16 greater than 6? Tell me. Is 16 greater than 6? Yes, right. This condition is true. So what you will do in this next pass or in this next iteration, what you will do here, you will change the value. You will swap these two elements. Okay, so I swap it here, 56 and 16, 8 and 5. Then I'll compare this 2. Next, I'll compare this 2. Now again compare, is 16 greater than 8? Yes, this condition is again true. So what you will do, you will swap this position. So 15, 6, 8, 16 and 5. Next, you will compare this two element, right? So you will compare 16 is greater than 5. Yes, this condition is true. So what you will do? You will swap the position of 16 and 5. So 15, 6, 8, 5 and 16, right? Okay. So in pass 1, this is the entire pass 1. Tell me number of comparison we have made in this pass 1. How many comparisons we have made? Tell me number of comparison we have made in this pass. How many comparisons we have done? See in this pass and tell me. I want a response from everyone. ये पास 1 आपको दिख रहा है, राइट? कितने कंपैरिजंस हमने बनाए हैं? How many comparisons we have done? Kuldeep, Anjali, Yojit, Hinal, everyone, tell me the answer. Drashti, Hardish, Hitansh, Kirtan, everyone, tell me. ये आपको एग्जाम्पल दिख रहा है, इसमें हमने कितने कंपैरिजन बनाए हैं? नंबर ऑफ कंपैरिजंस, टेल मी. Okay.
4, ma'am, 4.
4. That is correct answer. So let us see how here we have made one comparison, second, third, and fourth. Now, after this, after 16 is reached to the last index, we are not going to compare with the garbage value, right? So you can see here after every pass, largest element of the array will bubble up to the end of the array, right? That's why it is called as the bubble sort, right? जब भी एक पास खत्म होता है तब क्या होता है, जो भी लार्जेस्ट एलिमेंट फ्रॉम द एरे है वो क्या होता है, बबल अप होता है लास्ट पोजीशन पे, एरे की लास्ट पोजीशन पे वो अपना प्लेस है वो सिक्योर कर लेता है, राइट? सो नाउ दिस प्लेस ऑफ द 16 इज फिक्स्ड, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज, राइट? नाउ दिस एरे इज नॉट सॉर्टेड, सो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, you have to take the pass number 2. Okay, I will take this array 15, 6, 8, 5 and 16. 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. We will repeat the same step, right? First we will compare these two. Compare 15 is greater than 6. Yes, this condition is true. So what you will do, you will swap these two. So after swapping, this is the array. Right. Next, you will do what? You will swap 15 with 8. Compare this 15 with 8. Is 15 greater than 8? Yes, this condition is true. So you again will swap these two. 6, 8, 15, 5 and 16. Next, you will compare this two. Compare 15 with 5. Is 15 greater than 5? Yes, this condition is true. So you will again swap it. 6, 8, 5, 15 and 16. Next, you will compare 15 with 16. Is 15 greater than 16? No, this is not true, right? So we are not able to swap it. So here, this is the final array after pass 2. Now you can see here in the second pass, the second largest element will bubble up to the second last position, right? So now 15 and 16 position is fixed. right? So now still array is not sorted. So you have to go for the pass number 3, right? So I will go to the pass number 3. I will write down here the array element 6, 8, 5, 15, and 16. Right? So you will again start comparing these two elements. Compare 6 with 8. Is 6 greater than 8? No, this is not true. So we are not doing any swapping. Next iteration, what you will do is you will compare 8 with 5. Compare this. Is 8 greater than 5? Yes, this condition is true. So what you will do here, you will swap these two elements, 5 and 8, 15 and 16. Now you will compare what? 8 with 15. Is 8 greater than 15? No, this condition is false. So no swapping is there. No swapping is required. Here it is 15 and 16. And next you will compare what? Two elements 15 and 16. Is 15 greater than 16? No, this is not true. Right? So no swapping is there for the pass number. Sorry, these two elements. Now you can see after the third pass, the third largest element is bubble up to the third last position. So now you can see here 8, 15 and 16 position is fixed, right? Now still the array is not sorted, so we have to go for the pass number 4. So let me go to the pass 4. Okay, I will write down the array 6, 5, 8, 15, 16. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? Now compare these two. Is 6 greater than 5? Yes, this condition is true. Then you have to swap this. So I will swap 5, 6, 8, 15, and 16. Right? Next, you will compare these two. Is 6 greater than 8? No. So no swapping is there. Next, you will compare these two. 8 with 15. Is 8 greater than 15? No. 5, 6. So no swapping is there. So here you will do the final comparison, that is 15 is greater than 16. No, this condition is false, right? So here 5, 6, 8, 15 and 16. So now your array is completely sorted. So this is your what? Sorted array, right? So now tell me number of passes we have required in this example. Just a second, I think screen is not visible. Is my screen visible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now tell me the number of passes we require in this. How many passes we have required to sort the complete array? You can see here how many passes we required to sort this entire array. 4, right? That is correct. So if you are having n equals to 5, right? So the number of comparison is equals to 4 in each pass. Number of passes is equals to 4, right? You can see in pass 1 we have made 4 comparison. In a pass 2 again we have done 4 comparison. Pass 3 again 4 comparison, and pass 4 we have done the 4 comparison, right? And total number of passes will be 4. So if you are having n elements, then number of comparison will be n minus 1 and number of passes will be n minus 1, right? So ये समझ में आ गया, यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आ गया? Tell me. I think till now everyone is clear, right? Okay. So let us find out the time complexity in the worst case. Or before that, let me write down the pseudo code. Now, can anyone tell me where we can modify this, or let me first write down the pseudocode. Okay, how to write it. So here I will write down the main logic for. So we are having two loops. So can anyone tell me why we are using I loop? So this is the code for bubble sort. Okay. So now tell me what will be the time complexity. First of all, tell me there are two loops. What is the use of I loop? Why we are using I loop? Sure, we are doing two things, no? Tell me, do you have any idea why we are using I loop? First loop is used for number of passes. That is correct. First loop is used for number of passes. And the second loop? The second loop depends on number of comparisons. That is correct. Okay. So your time complexity will always be dependent on number of passes and number of comparisons. How many comparisons you are making in this algorithm, your time complexity will be based on this two part, right? Okay, so this is how your algorithm will work, right? So let us trace this algorithm with the help of this pseudocode. So here we will start the number of i's starting from 0, right? So here your pass number 1 is equals to I equals to 0. Here I is equals to 1. Here it is I is equals to 2. And it will be I is equals to 3, right? So आपकी I loop है वो 0 से लेके 0 to 4 तक चलेगी, right? So I value will be from 0 to 4. So, and we have to check this condition, right? I is less than n minus 1. Value है वो 4 से कम होनी चाहिए, right? So for I is equals to 0, what we will do, we will compare this array element. So to compare the to make the comparison, we will start j equals to 0, and j will start from 0 to 4, right? So j is again starting from 0 to n minus 1. N is equals to, we are having 5, so n minus 1, that is equals to 4. So we will check this condition first. Okay, so your j value is here, j plus 1 is here. Okay, so j is equals to 0, is true. You will go inside the for loop. Now you will compare, you will check if a of j is greater than a of j plus 1. You will check it here. A of j is what? 15. A of j plus 1 is 16. Is 15 greater than 16? No. So we will not go inside the swap function. What we will do here is we will increment the j value, right? So now increment the j value. So now j is here, right? Your j is what? J is at index 1 and j plus 1 is here, right? Now compare a of j plus 1. Sorry, just a second. Here it is j and j plus 1. In our next pass, we will increment j and j plus 1 will be here. Compare j and a of j plus 1. 16 is greater than 6. Yes, this condition is true. Then what you will do, you will swap this a of j and a of j plus 1, right? So we have performed the swapping. After performing the swapping, again you will do what? You will increment the j value and j plus 1. Now compare a of j with a of j plus 1. A of j is what? 16. Is greater than 8. Yes, this condition is true. Again you will do what? Swapping. Now your j is incremented to here, and this is your j plus 1. Compare a of j with a of j plus 1. So 16 is greater than 5. Yes, this condition is true. So you will swap this 2, right? And after this, you will increment j value, and here your j plus 1. But here we don't have anything. This is the garbage value. So we will exit from this loop. And now we will increment the value of I. So I value will be incremented to 1. In same way, j is starting from 0 and j plus 1 is here, right? You will repeat the same procedure. Okay. So this is how you can trace the algorithm with the help of this pseudocode. So till now everyone is clear how to trace this algorithm with the help of this pseudocode. Now can anyone tell me the time complexity? Let us understand the time complexity first. So let us do the time complexity for a worst case. So your time complexity is dependent on what? Number of swap and number of comparisons, right? So let us take this. So here the passes, then we are having number of comparison and number of swaps we are doing, right? Your time complexity is dependent on this number of swaps and number of comparisons. Okay, so take the same example. जब हमारे पास क्या था? Pass number 1. So how many comparisons we have made in the pass 1? In the pass 1, how many comparisons we have made? Tell me, number of comparisons. 4, right? Let's consider this example. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If your array is completely unsorted, right? From decreasing to smallest to, sorry, highest to smallest. So here you can check, you will compare this to, so this is you have to change. Again, you will compare this to, then again you have to change. Right? If you compare this to, then again you have to make the changes. You have to do the swapping. Again, you will compare this. So again, you have to do the comparison, right? So in this case, we have made the 4 comparisons and 4 swaps, right? Because this is the worst case. In the worst case, largest element in the first position and smallest element is in the last index. So you need to make maximum number of comparison, that is 4, because n is equals to 5, right? So अगर आपको 5 को सही पोजीशन पे लेके जाना है, तब आपको 4 कंपैरिजन करना पड़ेगा, as well as number of swaps will be 4. In the second pass, it will be 3. So now if you are going with this, so what you will do, you will compare 4 with 3. So 3 and 4. You will compare these two, 3, 4. Sorry, 3, 2, 4, 1, and 5. Again, you will do what? You will make the comparison. 1 and 4, you will do the comparison. 1, 4, and 5. Right? So in this case, number of swap is how many swaps we have done? 3, right? So till how many steps we are doing till n minus 1, right? Number of passes will be n minus 1. Then at last we are doing the 1 comparison. So how it is possible? So you can see in this example. In this example, just tell me. Once you find the position of 16, आपने क्या किया है? Position of 16 you have find out, right? That this is the last position of the 16. This will not be changed. right? So in the next pass, is it necessary to compare this 15 with 16? Tell me. Is it necessary to compare 15 with 16? Yes or no? पहले पास में हमने क्या किया था कि 16 की पोजीशन हमने फिक्स कर दी है कि वो लास्ट इंडेक्स पे ही रहेगा क्योंकि वो लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू है. Then in second pass, is it necessary to compare 15 with 16? Once we have find the position of 16 here, like this position is fixed, it cannot be changed. So is it necessary to compare 15 with 16? Tell me. No, right? So this comparison is unnecessary, right? So if you modify this algorithm, the number of comparison in the second pass will be what? 1, 2, and 3. So here n equals to 3, here n equals to 4, right? Same way here. Once you find out in the second pass, we have fixed the position of 15 and 16, right? So you find out that your 15 and 16 position will not be changed. So is it necessary to compare 8 with 15? No. Is it necessary to compare 15 with 16? No. So you can discard it, right? So the time complex here, number of comparison you made is 2, right? And in this case, in the previous one, we find out that your 8, 15 and 16 position is completely fixed. So is it necessary to compare 6 with 8? You already know that 8, 15 and 16's position will not be changed. So is it necessary to compare 6 with 8? No. This comparison is also needed. No needed, right? So here you can see 6 and 5, only one comparison is required. So you can modify this algorithm. Why? Because if you do not modify the algorithm, then in best case, the time complexity will be order of n square. In a worst case, it is also the order of n square, which is not acceptable, right? So to reduce the time complexity in the best case, we need to modify this algorithm. So where we can modify this algorithm? Here, you can see number of comparison is reducing. Number of comparisons is reducing. That is based on the value of I. When the I value is increasing that much, comparisons we are discarding, right? पहले पास में क्या था? पास नंबर 0 में 4 कंपैरिजन किए जब I की वैल्यू 0 थी. पास नंबर 2 में क्या था? I की वैल्यू 1 थी. हमने कितने कंपैरिजन डिस्कार्ड किए? 1 कंपैरिजन वी हैव डिस्कार्डेड. फॉर पास 3 यहाँ पे क्या किया हमने? I की वैल्यू 2 थी तब हमने क्या किया था? 2 कंपैरिजन हमने डिस्कार्ड किए, राइट? यहाँ पे I की वैल्यू 3 है तब हमने 3 कंपैरिजन डिस्कार्ड किए, राइट? So the value of j is dependent on the value of I. So here it will be changed to n minus 1 minus I. Okay, if you use this, then it will be in a first case, it will be order of n square, right? So if you modify this, algorithm and if you try to find out the time complexity, right? So based on the number of passes, the time complexity, the number of swaps will be decreased, right? जब पास 1 था तब हमने 4 कंपैरिजन किए थे, राइट? पास 2 था तब 3 कंपैरिजन 3 स्वैप्स किए. सेम वे फॉर पास 3 तब उसमें 2 कंपैरिजन 2 स्वैप किए up to 1. So if you want to find out the time complexity, then you will do what? You will sum up all these things. So if your algorithm is like this, 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n minus 1, right? You will compare 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n minus 1, right? Or else you can do one thing. The same algorithm is there. You have to identify how many times this loops is going to be executed. Each statement, how many times it is going to be executed, and then you multiply, then you will get the answer, right? So you already know the formula for 1, 2, 3 up to n. What is the formula here? N into n plus 1 divide by 2. But here the loop is going from 1 plus 2 plus 3 to n minus 1. So you have to replace n with the n minus 1. So n minus 1 plus 1 divide by 2. So this will be cancelled. So n into n minus 1 divide by 2 plus n into n minus 1 divide by 2, right? So if you add this, so n square minus n plus n square minus n divide by 2, right? So that is equals to, I think so, there is some mistake. Just a second. Okay, fine. Just wait for this time complexity part, which we will cover in the lab session. Today we will keep it here because it is the time to stop the algorithms execution. So this we will see when we will do the C program for bubble sort, and at that time we will do the time analysis. Okay. So let me conclude the session. Today we have started with the amortized analysis, like the potential method, and then we have taken the bubble sort algorithm. We have taken one example, and we have solved the how to write the algorithm that we have seen. And let me give you one example to do this so that you can practice. So the example is, this is the example you have to solve in the algorithm. Okay, and the time complexity part we will do in the lab session, right? So take a screenshot of this example, and in next lecture I'll ask you to give me the answer. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the session, and let me thank you everyone.